The Wild West has long been a trope commonly explored and recreated in a multitude of media forms, including books, films, and yes, even video games. And as it is such an established trope, as the creator, you're going to have to put your own unique spin on your product if you want it to succeed, all the while maintaining at least some overt adherence to the setting and its ever usual aesthetics. Blood West attempts to distinguish itself in a variety of ways, all having one thing in common: the gameplay itself. Blood West is not a game that actively grants much priority to its story material. Beyond a very simplistic initial setup introducing the character as a reanimated corpse, given its soul back by a bunch of snarky spirits, sending you on a quest to quite literally rid the land of evil, everything from that point on is almost entirely open-ended. Sure, you can collect a bunch of lore notes, talk to friendly NPCs, etc., but none of it really amounts to all that much. I don't say that to necessarily imply that this is a bad thing. I'm not a stickler when it comes to storytelling in games. All I've really hoped for in a game is that the game, whatever it is, delivers on whatever it promises. If it's a game like Blood West that pretty explicitly confirms that gameplay, not story, is what's given precedence, then it's ultimately the quality of the gameplay itself, not the story, that really matters to me. And the gameplay here is alright. There's a lot of focus on the combat, and while the game provides a fairly wide cast of different enemy types for you to go up against, the combat itself here is extremely simplistic and frankly neither remotely innovative nor really all that interesting. Point, click, shoot, reload. Or if you've got a melee weapon, keep spamming with left mouse until either the enemy dies or you do. Given how wimpy most of the melee weapons are though, my money is on you dying in most instances before your enemy does. Blood West, despite on the surface being your very typical indie FPS game, actually has far more in common with the RPG genre. Adhering to an obviously linear questing system, among several other RPG characteristics we'll get into later. The questing system isn't really all that intuitive, and sometimes the quest descriptions are so vague as to give you little idea of where it actually wants you to go. One of the early quests, for example, tells you to go to a nearby fort. The problem is there's like 2 or 3 forts in the general area, so I ended up wasting about 15 or 20 minutes wandering around the wrong fort, which was the closest fort to my original location. You would think that a starting quest telling you to go to a nearby fort would actually make you go to the closest fort rather than one a farther distance away. There really isn't all that much in the vein of quest markers. You can over time pick up map pieces that start to fill in the large total map, making it easy for you to backtrack without getting lost, but by the time you'll start to accumulate these, you'll already have grinded quite a bit. For a game that markets itself as a horror game, there really isn't anything remotely scary about this game. And I don't mean that in a dismissive, I see those little horror moments and just am not scared by them kind of way. I mean in a literal sense. As far as I've seen, there are 0 jump scares. There's no sense of looming dread and atmospheric spookiness that you'd find in games like Outlast or Alien Isolation, for example. It's just a mostly empty husk of an open world with a few zombies scattered intermittently about. Calling this a horror game would be like calling Team Fortress 2's Man vs. Machine mode a horror game mode. Unless you find the prospect of poorly programmed generic zombie AI characters slowly meandering towards you in a straight line to be terrifying, you're not likely going to find anything remotely unsettling here in Blood West. In order to advance in the game, players should not focus on the actual quests themselves. I know, blasphemous, right? And instead, all you have to do is farm a single area again, and again, and again, and again, and again ad nauseum, loading and reloading into the game every time you finish off all the NPCs. Just keep on farming for XP like you would if you were a low-level character in an MMORPG. And this isn't just the recommended way to play, it's more or less the only way to play, because progression is tied mainly to the player's level. Grind up enough XP, you level up, you unlock a new skill point, and you become stronger. And unless you want to be wasting hundreds of bullets one by one defeating a single enemy that is far higher level than you, while it meanwhile can eliminate you with a single blow or two, you'll soon find yourself spending far more time grinding away in a single area than you will exploring the rest of the map. And if the combat flow was actually entertaining and the rewards for grinding likewise satisfactory, I wouldn't have much of a problem playing that way. But neither of those basic requirements are ever fulfilled. None of the weapons feel even remotely impactful. You would think that if you're running around shooting arrows through enemy heads or just using a sawed-off shotgun, you'd be able to obliterate anything at medium or close range. But no, even a sawed-off shotgun needs you to land 2 or 3 shots to eliminate even the most basic of enemies, which is frankly ridiculous. The end result is combat feeling overwhelmingly tedious. You'll find yourself going to one of the handful of vendors scattered around the map, because the world itself is very stingy when it comes to ammo resupply, among other things. You'll probably end up spending most of the money you earn from eliminating enemies on ammo to go eliminate, you guessed it, more enemies. to the point where it can take a little while to build up enough money to buy better weapons or anything else other than ammo. The problem with the vendors, though, is that the only way for them to resupply their stock is for you to die. This is an extremely stupid mechanic because you can easily find yourself running out of ammo and other items, and ultimately find yourself running around the map looking for a place to throw yourself off a cliff to your own demise, or else stumbling into an enemy and just standing there waiting for them to gradually kill you. And because the game tries to heavily penalize you for dying by placing a random curse on you every time you die, there is no way of actually getting the NPC vendor to resupply his stock without inherently putting an active penalty on your character, punishing you for having the audacity to try to make the game function as it's supposed to. Interestingly, when I clicked on the game's Steam store page to gain a general idea of what other people thought of the game, I was stunned to find out that the game had been awarded a total average grade of overwhelmingly positive on Steam. And I've got to confess, I really have no idea why. Blood West is certainly a solid game. As I've already illustrated, there are a number of areas where Blood West does fulfill most, if not all, reasonable expectations for a game like this, but it also has to be said that there are a similarly equal number of areas where it simply does not. I can perfectly understand why people might just toss it a thumbs up and not be too bothered about its flaws, and I don't mean to invalidate any view that might share in that majority opinion, but personally I'm not all that convinced. If you're looking for a good Wild West game, believe me, there are way better titles on the market that deserve your attention and support than Blood West. Take it from me, Blood West is not one of the greats. Blood West is currently being sold on Steam for the retail price of $14.99 USD. It's not a bad price for those of you looking to get into it. Personally, I think the developers have to add quite a bit more content, but more importantly, refine the existing content a hell of a lot more before I would ever consider buying it. I mean, I was granted a key for this review as is common practice, and if I had bought the game in its current state, I wouldn't have hesitated to refund it. This game is an embarrassment to retro FPS games everywhere, and it would take one hell of a turnaround for me to even consider picking it up again. I'm sure some might argue the developer did his best, but if this was their best, maybe they're not cut out for game development as a long-term career path. As ever, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click the like button and comment below what you think of the game. Comments really help my videos get boosted in the algorithm, and plus I read and respond to nearly all the comments I get. So even if you just want to drop a comment just to say hi or get my opinion on something, even if it's unrelated, I'll be more than happy to chat with you down below. Likewise, subscribing and clicking the bell really helps. I know it's cliche, but the YouTube algorithm is a pain in the ass to deal with, doubly so as a small channel. This is Warrior Dan signing out. Stay awesome everybody, stay safe, and peace out.